everyone, Amanda here. Welcome back to my book nook. So one of the things that I've been doing this year is choosing either a really long book or a grouping of books that are all tied together that when added up are a pretty decent length of thing. I had decided to call it my year of long reads. The earlier reviews with like American Gods and Priory of the Orange Tree were also part of this. So in March, the book that I chose was the full collection of Philip Pullman's His Dark Materials. So that includes The Golden Compass, The Subtle Knife, and The Amber Spyglass. I am going to do my best to review this full collection without being super spoilery for the book prior, but it might not be the easiest thing because these are 3 separate books that were put into one, and I'm doing a full review on the whole thing. So, His Dark Materials, the full book series, has been worked with HBO. I think they're now starting they're going to be starting their second season of it, which is amazing. And earlier had also been made, the first book of that, The Golden Compass, was made into a movie. So I understand that a lot of the plot probably for The Golden Compass, people probably know and understand. So just going to do a little bit of a description though. So you have a world that exists in which everyone has what is called a daemon. And the daemon is a physical, visual, out of their body manifestation of their soul. As children, and it's all done via animal, and most of the time, the animal, your daemon is the opposite gender of yourself. There are some people that have daemon that are the same gender, and it's not really discussed a lot in the books regarding that. It's talked about just a little because one of the people that our main character, Lyra, spends some time with is on a boat. It has a same-sex daemon. As a child, your daemon is constantly changing shapes and forms of animals, and eventually it settles into what is its final form that stays with you through the rest of your life. If you die, the human body dies, the daemon turns into dust, and if the daemon is killed, the person they lose part of their soul. So there's a lot of the personality changes. They might have some mental health issues. They might go catatonic. There's a lot of differences in regards with this. So Lyra lives at a school in Oxford and is basically raised there. She has her uncle, Lord Asriel, who makes sure that things are taken care of, but he doesn't raise her or anything. And it starts off with her seeing someone trying to set up a poison for Lord Asriel, and so she stops this. Also during this time, children, mostly street children, are disappearing. And no one's really sure what's going on, and they talk about the fact that the gobblers are coming to get the kids. Lyra's daemon is called Pan. He has a much longer name. She calls him Pan. I'm not going to attempt to say his entire long name because I'm just going to stick with Pan. And Pan constantly does also get lots of form changes. Lyra's young. She is given something called an althiometer. And I don't know if I pronounced that correctly because it's a word for this, so I'm going to hope that it's correct, and hopefully I also can keep this pronunciation the same throughout. And the way that the althiometer works is you can ask it a question, and there's these different symbols, and it uses those symbols to provide an answer. Most people have to spend years studying this in order to understand how it works, and Lyra's really good and can do it right off the bat. Lord Asriel leaves. He's going on a mission after he was almost killed, to do some exploration regarding dust, which that's what daemons turn into if they die, and it's really drawn to kids and such, and it's kind of a mystery of what is this dust. And after he leaves, this woman, Miss Coulter, comes, and she wants to kind of take Lyra in like as an apprentice, having her learn things with her and everything, and Lyra's like, oh, this is awesome, this is amazing, cool. And then she learns that Miss Coulter is not really, is kind of bad news, and is connected to the Gobblers, almost gets in some serious problems with her, gets away, and ends up with the Egyptians. The Egyptians are the people that are most of the kids that have disappeared are Egyptians. And Lyra also finds out that one of her friends from the school had also disappeared, and she kind of wants to find him. The Egyptians are trying to find some of their kids, so they're all going on together. Finds out that she meets up with a bunch of different people, and an armor bearer named York, to go and do this whole mission and everything, and finds out that Miss Coulter and the Oblation Board, the Global Oblation Board, the Gobblers, are severing children from their daemons. That way dust, which they feel is dangerous and the cause of sin, cannot touch these kids. It almost happens to Lyra. Miss Coulter stops it. They get the kids out, they get the daemons that have been severed from kids out, so at least, so the daemons didn't die, the kids didn't die, but they don't have that connection anymore, and everything. And Lyra and her friend go to try to find Lyra's dad. They get there, Lyra's dad kills Robbie, and uses that death and the dust to open up dimensions between different worlds, and goes into one of these. Which then brings us to the Subtle Knife, which of the 3 books was my least favorite and I felt was the weirdest. While I liked the introduction of Will, who is one of the other main characters, who is in what we would see as the universe that most resembles ours, but there's all these other worlds and universes that they are going through, and that's kind of where I'm just like, this is just really weird and everything. And in one of these worlds, because someone steals the Altimeter, Lyra needs, in order to keep figuring out to find her dad, help Will find his dad, figure out what's all going on, stop everything. They need this thing called the Subtle Knife, which can cut between the worlds, because that's what the person who stole the Altimeter requires. And so the Subtle Knife is basically just Lyra and Will's story to try to get things back together so they can try to fix the stuff that's going on with the Oblation Board and everything. You start also getting more of the deaths happening. There is a lot more deaths in the Amber Spyglass. So, like I said, the majority of the Subtle Knife is a quest mission, in a way. And it just had a lot of stuff that was just like, this is just kind of weird in regards with it, which is why I said it was probably my least favorite of the 3 of the books. So we're going to get into now the Amber Spyglass, which is where all the build-up from the first 2 books collides. So the Oblation Board believes that dust is the cause of sin. They are trying to prevent sin from happening to the world. They want to destroy dust. They want to destroy everyone's connection to dust. They believe it is evil. There are some angels that are on their side, but there are also some angels that are on the side of Lyra and Will and the people that are trying to keep this connection and everything, because what the Oblation Board is doing is wrong. It's basically committing lobotomies on people or killing them or things like that. It's destroying who a person is. And they really are after Lyra, because if Lyra falls to sin and corruption, everything in their world everything is going to stay dust. There is a lot of death in this book because this is the war. You have war going on here. So you have you have explosions that are killing people. You have people killing angels. You have angels killing people. So many different worlds have been cut open by the Subtle Knife that are all bleeding into each other. At one point, there is progression into the underworld because Lyra wants to talk to Robbie, and Will's father, who had died, he wants to talk to his father and everything and try to get more information. And actually, in the process of doing that, Will, despite coming from our world, in order to cross over and continue through, you have to leave your soul behind. So for Lyra, that was, she had to leave Pan, and then would come back to get Pan. Will, as they're crossing, feels it rip from him, and when he comes back, he actually now has a daemon. And Will's daemon and Pan are not happy with Will and Lyra at first because they left them, so it takes a little bit of time for everyone to like each other. Ultimately, the way that it ends up working is Lyra and Will do succeed, and they have that beginning childhood love, that first love of someone that's outside of your friends, outside your family, that first tingling of romantic love, which is what apparently causes the daemons to settle. Now, I personally admit I'm kind of curious, though, for someone that is in that sense of the world, what happens if they're romantic? Do they always have a daemon that never settles, or what? But who knows? I'm not in Philip Pullman's head, and so it's just one of those little things of like, I'm just curious. And the problem is, though, that with each of use of the subtle knife and the openings of the world, it also starts in a way it's killing parts of the world. It's letting dust slip through, it's letting dust disappear, it's creating these creatures called specters that attack daemons, attack the souls, attack people in general, and in trying to kill them. And they now have to seal up all of these rifts, all of these holes, which for Will and Lyra mean that they would either, one of them would have to go stay in the other one's world, which would ultimately kill them quicker than staying in their own world, or they'd have to close off the connection between themselves until they both pass away, because the underworld type area collects from all of these different things. So it has that little bit of the bittersweet type ending, but it was all in all, the book series itself is very good. I'm giving it a good 8 out of 10. I would probably give Golden Compass 9 out, if I was to do them individually, Golden Compass 9 out of 10, Amber Spyglass 8.5 out of 10, Subtle Knife 7.5 out of 10. That would probably be my full-on ratings for each one individually, but all in all, the book as a whole, I think, would fall about an 8 out of 10 easily. I really liked it. I really recommend reading it. I have not seen all of the HBO show, but from what I have seen of it, I'd recommend watching the show. It seems really well done. But yeah, that was Philip Pullman's To Talk Materials. Highly recommend. It's a very, very good fantasy series, and yes, while it would probably be considered a YA, probably a younger YA type fantasy series because it's focusing, at least the first book, less so as you get further into the series and you have a lot more death coming in. But I mean, they're all younger kids. They're in their, I would say, from what I gather, around 11, 13 type age, our main kid characters. It's a great read though for anyone. I highly recommend it. Yeah, read that series. It's very good. I loved it. It's a great fantasy.